So before that, I was working as training pigeons actually and rats in Skinner boxes. So I wouldn't say I was a behaviorist, but I certainly embraced fully those principles. And when I started doing actually ethology, so work with animals in the wild, especially wolves. There were wild wolves in Chibougamau, Quebec. That's very high north. I said to the guide that was with me, this is all limbic. And it's a reference to that part of the brain that's all about emotions. And the idea here is that I realized that, yeah, nothing that we know from animals in a Skinner box explains what I see here in the real world in terms of social dynamics, social behavior, affiliations, all these things we talked about earlier. Can you give me 1 sec here? Just 1 sec. Sam? Can you go get Ivy, please? She's been barking for 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, so the idea essentially is that there's a lot of reductionism right now from the North American school to reduce everything to conditioning. But the problem is it's not really explaining behavior in general. Cognitive science has its problems. Like I said, I'm not a cognitivist. I'm a post-cognitivist. But I think we need to merge the two a little bit better, okay? A lot of what we try to understand about our dogs cannot be understood just based on Skinnerian conditioning. So there's the practical aspect. Yes, that's how we train dogs in my lab every day. We use operant conditioning every day. We use the clicker, so we use also some Pavlovian conditioning. Obviously, it's fine. But if you really want to understand behavior, you need to go beyond that, because those principles won't explain some of the stuff you see with crows or ravens in your backyard. And even in terms of learning theories. And I was about to say, there's a slide that I show my student in my learning class. It's all the different theories and schools of learning, schools of thought in learning theory. And there's one circle that's for behaviorism and conditioning, and there's about 30 others. And those 30 other ways of thinking about learning, most dog trainers don't know about. Amazing. They don't know about them. Now, do they always apply to dogs? No. But because we talked about memory, this is really important, because cognitive neuroscience and cognitive psychology have a huge literature on memory in animals that is completely ignored by the behaviorists. Because remember, the behaviorists were anti-mentalistic. You were not allowed to use terms like memory or attention or emotions, right? Because if you can't see it, you can't study it, according to behaviorists. That was the idea. Well, the problem with that is that since the 60s, at least, neuroscience and psychology have developed tons of theories about how learning occurs, how learning works in the brain, and cognitive learning that, again, those dog trainers know nothing about. So if this is the width of the window of what's available in science right now in animal behavior and learning, okay, what I think most dog trainers see is about this, okay? And that is, in a way, explains to me some of the surreal debate I'm having with some of those people, including a few scientists, actually, where I'm thinking, but how can you reject, you have this, but you reject all of this and all of this here. It's like, why? What? This is not the reality of the last 40 years in neuroscience and psychology, and I would say ethology as well. Hopefully I summarized that well.